And that, of course, is the way the finale of Beethoven's Eroica Symphony begins. From that unlikely theme, Beethoven was to build one of the greatest sets of symphonic variations. By the time he got around to writing the Eroica, Beethoven had already examined the possibilities of that theme on 3 previous occasions. It began as the bass line of a simple 16-bar contradance for orchestra. 2 years later, with its accompanying melody, it became part of a somewhat larger structure, the finale of Beethoven's ballet, The Creatures of Prometheus. But Beethoven was far from satisfied with that, and in 1802, I think, he laid out a full-scale work for piano based upon this theme, the 15 Variations in Fugue, Opus 35. It's this work that I'd like to play for you tonight, and it's a work which I find fascinating, especially when I regard it as a tryout for one of Beethoven's truly great symphonies. Nothing indicates more clearly, I think, Beethoven's unique musical disposition than his choice of thematic material, or more specifically, the use to which he puts it. Beethoven treats his thematic units just as an architect regards a blueprint. Within those sketches is contained an emotional condensation of the whole. Beethoven sketched voluminously, particularly in his middle years, and it's in these sketches that we can watch him unravel the dramatic possibilities of his theme. Beethoven had an incredible faculty for recognizing in themes which in themselves were sometimes embarrassingly insignificant, a capacity for development, for expansion. He was quite able to visualize that a theme which all by itself appeared awkward or shabby or perhaps even a little naive could, given certain circumstances, certain opportunities, in relation to the work as a whole, produce an effect of overwhelming power or excitement. You all know this famous motive from the Fifth Symphony. Yet what impact would it have were it not for its continuation? It actually begs continuation, but Beethoven is far from finished with it, and it propels itself onward to this dynamic, rhythmic, and motivic augmentation. Yet, for all its arresting quality, its great vitality, for all that it is perhaps the most famous insignia in music, how many of you would consider it whistling material? Very few, I should think. And the reason, of course, is that in Beethoven, the pleasures of the immediate moment must always be sacrificed for the total effect. By contrast, Mozart is often more easygoing about the development of his themes. Frequently, they're more complete in themselves. They're better whistling material. They can more easily stand detached from the work as a whole. And Mozart is much less concerned with milking them of all their possibilities in the way that Beethoven does. It's this, really, that makes the difference between Mozart, who always seems a relaxed and ingratiating fellow, while Beethoven, on the other hand, always seems under great pressure to meet his destiny around the next modulation. In a sense, therefore, Beethoven, in no matter what form he happens to be writing, is engaged in elaborating his material so that it appears to be growing constantly. He is, in a sense, always writing variations. And when he comes to write his major sets of piano variations, and I do mean the major ones because Beethoven was not above turning out on demand drawing room trivia on rather saccharine operatic themes of the day, when he comes to write his major variations, he invariably chooses themes which are in themselves musical nonentities. Beethoven's greatest set of variations is written on a completely absurd tune by an amateur named Diabelli. Nor is the theme of the Eroica variations professional from the standpoint of a composer like Mozart. It does, of course, contain within itself the seeds of a more identifiable melodic property, pum-pum, pa-pum, 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 the Prometheus melody. But though this theme appears from time to time, Beethoven makes it clear that it's really the bass theme which he has set out to exploit, and it is this ungainly motive which supplies the dramatic revelations of the Eroica variations. Now, you may well ask, how can this undecorated bass line be dramatic? What's exciting about the constant alternation of the principal notes of the scale? And surely you don't call this accentuation of one note, B flat, drama. Well, the answer to that is contained in the question, for it's that very avoidance of elaboration, that unwillingness to commit itself in advance that makes this such a useful theme. Consider by comparison this wonderful theme of Mendelssohn's Variations Sérieuses. gorgeous, but so richly decorated, so perfumed in this initial appearance that Mendelssohn is at a loss to do more with it harmonically, and he can only proceed to simplify it in the ensuing variations. The course which the first 13 of Beethoven's variations follow is a pretty familiar one. Beethoven dresses out the harmonic skeleton of the bass with the sort of athletic choreography that the virtuoso tradition of his day demanded. Along the way, he manages to treat the theme pedantically with a canon in variation 7, rather pompously with a march in variation 11, and by a striking reharmonization of the Prometheus theme into C minor, a chill, bleak, and wintry mood is established in variation 6. Then, beginning with the second minor key variation, variation 14, the work becomes truly Beethovenian in the combination of poetry and drama, which moves inexorably towards the climax. And the climax in this case is a fugue into which Beethoven stirs the bass theme as subject, the Prometheus melody as countersubject. In this fugue, and in the coda which follows it, Beethoven gives us a glimpse of several other elements which later become of sizable contrapuntal dimension in the finale of the Eroica Symphony. It is here that this motive, that is to combine with the bass theme in the symphony, is first introduced. And it's here that the Prometheus melody is first transferred to the bass. And the dramatic culmination of the Eroica is anticipated. The 16-measure contradance is about to become the 473-measure finale of the Eroica Symphony. It's here that we can see the imagination of Beethoven at work. So, now let's play it.